What's going on, guys, and welcome back to our Surviving Java series. And as you can probably tell around me, we did actually sort of jump the gun in today's episode just by sort of getting the area looking just a little bit more better. And this is just like a temporary stopgap. I got rid of the beacon and dropped it down to the bedrock layer, and I sort of spread a bunch of moss just to give it a little bit more naturey feel. Also done all of the glowberries on the ceiling, which took a very long time. I let them all grow, and then I went round with shears, and I have actually been having to the ones that I've been missing, I obviously need to go up and then shear them to make sure that they are done. Where's my shears gone? Are you in here? There you are. So in order to stop these from growing, you sort of just have to right click and you make that little snipping sound, and that's the maximum that they will then grow to. And I've been having to go around and do that to all of them just to prevent them from growing any further, because I went AFK here to let them grow and all of them grew down to like the floor and it just looked like an absolute mess. So I've had to trim them all back. We've got an area here that's completely open. It's because we've got a geode up here, and to start today's episode off, we are obviously going to be focusing on the decorational side of things in this area today, because I really want this area to sort of look nice, because I tend to spend quite a bit of time over here that I would much prefer it if it was looking relatively good. And I'm hoping that I've put these the exact right distance apart from one another in order just to be able to spam them in order to get them going correctly. Hopefully I've done that right. It does look like it's building up, just so we've got a little platform to work off of. Now, I'm not worried about taking out some of the budding crystals if they're on the bottom half of it, because I just want to expose the top half of the actual geode. Why are you doing that? Oh, can we? Right, yeah, there you go. There we go. So then we can start mining, and then as we mine, we'll probably take it up a little bit more each time we get to another layer of this thing. So yeah, what I want to do is just basically expose the top half of this geode. We've got a budding one there that we're obviously going to break and get rid of, because it's just going to be in the way otherwise. And then once I've exposed the top half of it, I'll bring you back. Alright, so I think I've got the bottom end of this thing sort of cleared out. I did actually have to do a little bit of sort of polishing off on the top end of it, because it actually broke into the area where the bedrock was replaced with stone, so the top end of the geode was actually completely missing. And as you can see, we've got no budding ones right at the top. We've got most of the budding ones around the bottom. So I harvested a bunch of the crystals from the bottom budding ones, and then I sort of placed them around the edges of the actual geode. I may actually take back this corner section a little bit more, or add some more of the glowberries coming down from that section. But I think just as like an added little extra feature in our ceiling to have an exposed geode like looking down on us, I think is a nice little touch. Let's collect all of this scaffolding, because as easy it is to craft, it's a little bit tedious to craft. That block can go back there. But yeah, I quite like that. Just added a little feature in our ceiling, just to add a little bit more colour, depth and texture, which I do like. I'm not too keen on this very end tough block on the end of the deep slate. I may actually have to just hop up and grab that, because otherwise it's going to bug me. I don't mind tough, it's a decent looking block, but yeah, when it's just random, like the random one block, I don't think it looks very good. So now the next plan is what to do with our flooring, and obviously we've gone round and we've sort of changed it all into the moss blocks. I am actually going to go around and tear it all up. But what I will be doing is the corner edges, like the edge that runs next to the chest, I'll probably leave this as moss blocks, and the lower floor, including the edges around this box, I want to dig out and lower it by, say, because we've got the hopper and the other dropper with the water streams underneath. I probably really want to take it down by about another 10 or 11 layers and have that brought down all the way up to our deep storage unit over here. So yeah, it's going to be a fair bit of digging. So we'll probably want to leave that edge there as well. So probably from, say, around about here-ish, going all the way down to our deep storage unit, which is here, and then the same again for this side. Now we've got torches, and then this comes where? Do we say we want to dig out to? This line here. And that's obviously going to come across over to our sewer here. So yeah, I've got a fair bit of digging, and I want to dig it down by a good few layers, so it's going to take me a hot minute or two. And once I've dug it all out and I've decided exactly how I want to do it, I will bring you back, because yeah, deep slate, it's not going to be fun digging it out. So yeah, catch you back in a bit. Alright then guys, so I've dug out around about 15 layers. That's a lie, it's not 15. It was like 6 increments of 2, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. It's about 8 or 9 layers below where the glass was. And yeah, so I've got a fairly reasonable area, and while I was digging it out I was trying to think of what I wanted to do. Initially in my head what I wanted to do is have like a little sort of beach area, say around about that height at this block here, about there, and then it would come down and it would sort of gradually get lower and lower, and then this bottom section here would be completely submerged in water. But I don't think you would be able to see into the water very clearly with it being that far below the glass layer, because obviously I want a full glass layer across the top of it. So now I'm leaning sort of just towards having it completely filled with water and having the glass layer the same layer as the moss blocks currently, which is how comes I brought up the lip, because initially this went down by 1. So yeah, what I'm thinking of just having a glass layer, I've brought this glass layer up to the same height as the glass layer, the central thing. And yeah, so what we want to do is probably lay a layer of sand, and I'm going to need some sandstone to cover up the redstone area. Some sandstone just in order to cover up this little section over here, because obviously sand will just fall through this section if I try to put sand there. And then what I also want to do is swap out the walls for, I don't think deep slate would look great underneath the water. So what I'm thinking for that is probably, because it goes up to moss blocks, I'm thinking to start off down here with cobblestone, then go from cobblestone to stone and andesite, and then from stone to and andesite to maybe mossy cobble and mossy stone bricks for the second top layer where the moss is. Which does mean I'm going to have to obviously dig out this wall and the walls going around in order to do sort of a continuity, in order to make it all sort of match in and look correct. But what I'm going to do is do a layer of sand first of all along the bottom, obviously barring the beacon beams. I'm fairly sure beacon beams can travel through water. I'm fairly sure I've had beacon beams go through water before. Sand. We should have loads of sand. And the reason that I want to put some sand down is because I want to put down some turtle eggs, because I want them to hatch whilst I'm doing the walls. So what I'm going to do, lay the sand, and then we will get the walls sort of swapped out and replaced, and then I will put the turtle eggs, so hopefully the turtle eggs will hatch by the time I'm doing the water. And then once I'm up to the water section, I will bring you back so we can see how the walls look before we put the water in. So yeah, I guess I'll catch you back in a bit. And if you're wondering how come I'm not doing these sections in time-lapse format, because it's in a cave and because it's going to be dealing with very sort of tedious stuff, whether or not I like the way it looks will depend heavily on if I keep it that way, and I don't want to do a time lapse and then sort of and ah for around about 20 minutes before changing it to something else, and then and ah before changing it again, and it will just be a very sort of repetitive process, and the time lapse footage will be around about 4 hours long, and there will be very little end result. It will be just a lot of me standing around thinking while I'm looking at it, because I'm not 100% landed on whether or not I will like it. Like, even after putting the water in, I don't know how visible you're going to be able to see through the water from standing above it, because I've not done a above sort of aquarium sort of thing before in Minecraft. I've done it in the wall, so say the glass wall is there and the water's on the other side, you can get that looking pretty nice, but whether or not it's going to look good or not from above, I have no idea. But I'm fairly sure it will look better if it's completely filled with water than if we just had the like 4 or 5 air block gap in order to have a beach area where our turtles can sort of go in and out of the water. Also, I'm 100% sure if turtles can survive solely under the water. I don't know if they're like dolphins and they need air gaps and air breaks in order to go. I do know that they tend to travel and veer to go on land every so often, but whether or not they need it in order to survive, I honestly have no idea. I'm hoping they don't, because otherwise all of our turtles are going to die. But nevertheless, I'm going to carry on laying sand, get the walls swapped out, and I'll bring you back once I've done that. Alright, so it's been a good few hours now, and most of the eggs that I put down have actually hatched, and I've actually enclosed them for the time being, just because they kept on getting in the way and climbing up as I was trying to do the walls. But I done the walls stretched all the way around the back end of the deep storage unit, just so that way I don't have to worry about doing that later on, because I know eventually each time I go down there to restock the shulkers or anything, that back wall will start winding me up if it's not the same as the rest of these walls. And I think just a little bit of sort of cohesiveness, it works well. Also done the wall behind this section here. I do need to do that section down there with sand, but I could do that from inside this room. I do believe that's inside. Is it inside? Oh no, it's... oh yeah, it is. So I could do that from inside. Like, the inside of there isn't going to be flooded, but I wanted, like, all of that down there is also going to have to probably be changed. But I probably want to bring up the floor underneath, because I don't like the look of all of the hoppers along the bottom. So I may do some sort of like sandstone half slabs underneath, and just keep this main bulk of the redstone still exposed. Probably put some light sources or some light sources in the water in order to get it all lit up. But for the time being, we can actually let all these turtles loose to go wandering around. No point breeding them, because obviously I'm planning on flooding all of this, which I will be doing very, very shortly. And the whole point that I'm letting them go loose now is because trying to break this lot when it's underwater is going to be even more tedious than what it is at the moment. Like, mining deep slate, my god, that they really need to add a feature that allows you to insta-mine it, because it's so bad that it's like even strip mining through deep slate takes so long, because it's even slower. And I've got Haze 2 beacon with speed 2 as well, and still it feels like it just takes so long compared to when you're mining large areas. And yeah, digging all the way down to bedrock, it's just sort of like, it's so super tedious, it's unreal. But for the time being, what do we want to do? We want to go grab some ice and some buckets. So let's head over to the iron buckets. Grab 4 of you. So make a little bit of room. And our ice should be... where would ice be? It'll be over with the snow, which is over here. So we do like a little double jump. And then we want... I know that ice was over here. Was it over here or was it over there? I'm going crazy now. Yeah, it's over here. I knew that it was over here. So let's just grab like 4 ice. And then we can start flooding it. And then I do actually need to go and do a supply run in order to get a bunch of the coral, because obviously we are going to want coral for this. 1, 2, 3, 4. And that is my phone. I do apologise. So let me fill this up and we can have a look to see what it looks like when it's all full. We've got some turtles swimming around. So yeah, I guess I'll catch you back very, very shortly. So we've got all of the water filled in, and it didn't take too long, around about 20 minutes or so. What we are going to have to do now is make an excursion out to wherever the closest coral reef is. That's all warm ocean, but none of it looks to be coral. Yeah, none of that's coral. None of that's coral. That's Spawn Island, so we don't really want to go touching anything. Oh no, that's our gold farm island. We got coral to the right of that, by any chance? No, I see a lot of kelp. It's like warm ocean, but it's not coral reef. Where is the closest slot of coral? Well, that's Spawn Island and that's the coral reef next to it. But have we found coral reef? Oh, there we go. There's a bunch of it over here. So what we can do is, I do apologise for that. What I will do is set a temporary waypoint so I know exactly where I'm going. I am going to want to sleep before heading out because I've not slept for God knows how long now. I've been down in this cave for way too long. We are actually getting a bunch of the glow squid spawning down here. Let me grab my toolbox. I've got a spare ender chest on me, and we are using crappy rockets that tried to kill us. So, got to deal with that, which is always fun. So yeah, I'm going to fly off over to Coral Reef, grab a bunch of this, and then lay it all down into the tank. And once I've got it all laid out, like collected, laid out, and all the light sources, I'll bring you back rather than doing jump cuts and whatnot, because it's rather than me collecting coral, showing you how much coral I got, and then doing another jump cut to me having placed it all. I don't want to do any time lapse recording this episode, and that's just because editing the last, I don't even know whose little class time this is. Editing down the last episode, where it kept on clipping in and out of caves, was really freaking torturous to have to edit down. I have absolutely no idea whose crazy sort of bunker this is. Hello. Okay, that's just a wall. I'm assuming this is laid out for someone's base, but I think this is about as far as they've got for it. Looks cool though. The smooth stone next to the nether brick and the red nether brick. But yeah, I have no idea whose base this is. Where was he heading? Over this way, wasn't it? We've got a little netherrack box over there. How far away is this thing? Oh my god, it's like 4,000 blocks. Yeah, I'm going to go collect a bunch of coral reef, lay it all down, get the light source in, get the glass thing, the ceiling or roof over the aquarium put in. I'll probably catch some fish while I'm over here as well. So that way we've got some tropical fish to throw in underneath. And just to make it seem a little bit more alive. So yeah, once I've done all of that, I'll bring you back for hopefully the final product, and hopefully it looks good. I think we're just flying over Spawn Island at the moment. So I'll catch you back in a bit. Oh my god, that took so much longer than I was initially expecting it to take, but I did finally manage to get it done. I grabbed a bunch of coral from the coral reef as well as some fish, but the fish just seemed to be schooling and sort of hovering along the top layer of glass. But yeah, they do swim around, and the turtles are quite a lot of life. And an added feature and bonus is that now that there's so much water in the centre, the glow squids seem to be spawning in here, which not only adds more life to in here, but stops them from spawning in my waterways and clogging up the system, because the glow inks just kept on building up in my overflow chest, and it was getting a little bit annoying having to constantly take them out and run them through the system, and they are starting to choke up the passive mob drop section of chests that I've got. But yeah, I'm happy with the way that it's come out. It is coming together bit by bit. Let me get out of this view. There we go. So this area over here where our main input chest is, I did actually get rid of the glass layer here and replaced it with moss blocks. So you can still see underneath from this angle. Mainly because the redstone, it looks cool, which is how comes I've not covered up all the sides. But I don't like it's not very like neat and polished, because the sorting system, there is no way of making that look neat and polished, considering you got like a cauldron, a shulker box, a bunch of chests, signs, and then you got the shulker unloader, which looks very similar to the shulker loaders. And because they all had to be linked to one another, it does not, it's just not very sort of eye catching or eye appealing. So I sort of covered it up with moss blocks, and it adds like a sort of natural walkway that sort of leads to the central area where our input chest is. And then I've also done a bunch of the mossy stone bricks and cobblestone, so that way we've got a decent staircase that sort of comes down to this area. I am trying to think of a way of doing a water elevator from our main storage system going directly up the middle. Now what I'm thinking is using the beacon beams and having some sort of structure in the center for an elevator to go straight up there. But yeah, I don't know exactly how to do that. Also, I am tinkering with the different partitions in between the chests. I've been using stripped birchwood, and I do think it's looking pretty cool. I'm not 100% landed on it yet, but I think I want to do the rest of it and just see how it looks, because it sort of matches in well with the sort of beachy sort of theme that's down below, and sort of exposed geode and the lush cave sort of goes hand in hand with the sort of naturistic of the water and the sort of light textures that we're going for, rather than using bricks or the deep slate. Like initially, I am planning on still keeping the deep slate tiles for underneath the chest, just because it adds like a nice dark highlight borderline underneath. It just makes it look a little bit more solid, a little bit more uniformed, which I do like. But nevertheless, I'm fairly sure that you're probably sick of me working in this area, so we are probably going to call it a day on this episode. We've got a massive amount done. This has been over the span of around about 5 days, me sort of tinkering with the different design aspects of this area. And no doubt that I will continue to tinker with it as I move forward, because this area here where the elevator goes up, I may actually push this water stream further back and then have it going up further this way. That way I can cover this up a little bit easier. Otherwise I'm going to have to cover up this entire elevator, and I'm not 100% sure how I would go about doing that. So I may move this entire water stream going further back and then up, just so that way we can do something with this entrance section where we come in and out. I'm tempted to cover up the back end of this, like, I don't even know how, but something sort of natura, maybe some more wood or some sort of fake tree. Actually, I could probably do like a tree trunk coming down from the ceiling down here, and then maybe a branch sort of spreading off this way with leaves and such covering it. But that's going to be something that I'm going to do in between episodes. Next episode, we're probably going to work on something away from this base area, because I no doubt we've been here for like 2 full episodes now, and I've been stuck here for like the better part of about 2 weeks tinkering, just trying to get, so because obviously when I come down here I like it to look nice, and I want it to look sort of tidy and sort of pleasant to come down. And there are other bits that I do want to do, like down here when I come to empty stuff, I wouldn't mind having somewhere that I could go for like a passive sort of, okay. Now we just dropped down into the water stream. Well, not water stream, but I had a leak come down here earlier where I was replacing blocks next to the water stream, and yeah, it washed away all the torches. I'm pretty happy there was no mobs there. But I wouldn't mind having a passive sort of XP in order to like repair my elytra and tools while I'm waiting for stuff to feed through the system. And we do happen to have a zombie spawner right here behind our sorting system. So we will probably implement something to do with that in order so we can repair our stuff whilst we're here. But as for decorating the main chunk of it, I'm pretty happy with the way that it's come along. It took a very long time digging out all this deep slate, but we've got like quite a lot of cobbled deep slate in our deep storage now from where I was digging this out. And so if we have a look here, yeah, so we've got 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15 shulkers of deep slate, cobbled deep slate, as well as like the 4 double chests, which is at the main end of our entranceway here, full of cobbled deep slate. So if we want a project that uses deep slate, we are definitely not shy of deep slate, which is pretty cool. Calcite, pretty shy on. Red sand, pretty shy on. Sand, we've got absolutely tons of. Granite, shy on, but I've got loads of it sitting at different project sites. I don't know, I think I took the granite that I had in my tree over to our industrial district, which is, we're either going to be working there next episode or on another project that I've sort of been working on in the background over the past few months. And it's only because it's a very time consuming project, but I may have a go at sort of working a little bit more on that. This squid is like freaking out. It looked like it was in the sorting system area, but yeah. But nevertheless, hopefully you've enjoyed today's episode before I ramble on too much, and hopefully I'll catch you all in the next one in a different area of the world rather than down here in the cavern. So yeah, thank you, and I'll catch you next time. Bye bye.